Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching as always, it is appreciated. You always hear the people in the political class refer to global citizens, the international rules-based order, and international law. I wanted to drill down into this a little bit and talk about the betrayal under the Conservatives regarding mass migration. This was under the Theresa May years. If you remember, when David Cameron got in, he decided that he wanted to renege on his pledges to get mass migration down to the tens of thousands, i.e. a comparable level to what it was in the 1990s. And I wanted to talk about one of the things that many people don't know about, so that's what we're going to get into now. This particular compact was brought into enforcement by the United Kingdom in 2018. It is called the UN Global Compact for Safe, Orderly and Regular Migration. Remember how Keir Starmer refers to all the dinghy divers, the illegals, as irregular migrants now? All part of the plan, because you only can be regular or irregular, as it says here. And this was adopted in 2018. It's not legally binding, which is very, very important, but it is a framework, a cooperative framework, not a treaty. Its purpose is to create a global approach to managing migration aimed at reducing dangerous irregular migration, illegal migration, improving cooperation between the countries, making migration process safer and more predictable, addressing the root causes of migration. So first of all, you've got the highest body, the UN, saying, well, basically migration's inevitable, either legally or illegally, so we might as well make as many safe and legal routes as possible, which is what Shabana Mahmood is looking to do under this Labour government. Not stop the flow, not reduce the amount of migrants or refugees coming into the country, simply to change the category, the softening of the language from illegal to irregular, from irregular to safe and legal routes. And it's all by design and it's all part of the plan. Then we go on to the second part. The second part here, the key points of the compact. Respect of national sovereignty. Countries keep full control of their own borders and immigration laws. Yet tell that to the British government. Improve international coordination. Well, they are coordinating, just not in the way we want them to coordinate. They're actually coordinating against the people. Better information sharing on migration trends, trafficking routes and border security. Yeah, that's not happening. Reduce irregular migration. Well, yeah, we know they're reducing irregular migration, but they're just doing it by changing the goalposts and flipping it from irregular to regular, from illegal routes to safe and legal routes. So they are doing that bit. Protect migrants' rights. Yeah, we know they're doing that as well, but they do that above and beyond the native British people. And if you call them out on it, then you're far-right, racist and a bigot. Address the root causes. Work on development, conflict prevention and climate issues that push people to migrate. Yeah, the economic chances, the most of them, let's be real on that. Improve return and readmission cooperation. Well, that's not happening at all. So that's the second part of it. The third part of it is non-binding, as I said, it's non-binding. Parliament remains sovereign. This is the important part. However, it is norm setting. So by entering into this compact, what the United Kingdom has actually done, saying like, yeah, okay, we'll hold our hands up, we'll take our fair share. We'll adopt this shared language, shared assumptions, shared expectations, even if the state has no legal obligation. By agreeing to the text, it means that diplomats face pressure to align with the compact, so it's all informal. The countries can say you agreed to pursue these goals, and it influences feature in UN negotiations and reviews. So yes, it sets the tone, and this is the point. This is why you get people who are very, very afraid in parliaments, say for a few, who will call out this for what it is, an invasion, because it's not the language of the liberal elites, it's not the language of polite circles, it's not the language they use in the diplomatic corps. This is all about making sure that it's palatable, and they want to keep it palatable. Then we go on to the next part here, where the tone setting actually matters. If we're being realistic, there are three actual effects. It commits the UK to the language of humanitarian norms. This means that even if it doesn't change policy, it means that the UK speaks a certain way internationally, and it can be used to challenge or shame it, especially by NGOs like Hate Not Hope, Stand Up to Racism, Care for Calais. All of these NGOs that are helping the illegal migrants invade the UK at our expense. That's why the tone setting matters. It nudges policy direction to the way they want it to go, which is open borders. Civil service, Home Office officials and diplomats often treat the UN framework as reference documents, benchmarks and best practice. And finally, it makes it politically harder to take a harsh line, which is why under the last Conservative government they didn't go anywhere near close enough, because they're bound by these policy frameworks and international rules-based orders which tie our hands. Not legally, like the ECHR or the Refugee Convention of 1951, but by signing up and complying with policy documents like this by the UN. What it actually does is, as we've mentioned, it sets the tone. This is completely the opposite to what any British citizen has voted for. And then finally we go on to this. Does it actually imply or implicitly signal that the UK will take its fair share that nobody voted for? Short answer is yes, only in a very loose rhetorical sense. The compact doesn't define or require any fair share. It implies shared responsibility, global approach and cooperative framework. The important point I want to specify is this is like a framework that the government of the day signed up for. Nobody forced them to sign up for this, and nobody forced the current Labour government to keep it. It's being kept because the polite chattering classes think it's the right thing to do. The people that are the problem are me and you, because we're kicking up a stink about it and we do not comply and we do not consent. It's very, very... When anybody says to you, the UK government or the British Parliament has no power, refer them to videos like this where I explicitly say that Parliament is sovereign. Parliament would never sign away any of its rights. Even when we joined the EEC in the 1970s, the Ascension Treaty made it very clear that Britain retains full sovereignty, and it's only the lack of political will from the parliamentarians that we cede the power to the EU. When the devolution settlements came in the 1990s for Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, again, the policy documents and the actual legislation very explicitly state all power devolved is power retained. So, the government is choosing these UN agreements and to appear like they're doing the right thing internationally over the democratic rights that us as British citizens should accept from our governments. This is why you'll see Labour politicians go on and they'll say, we need to pacify our voters, we need to tell them we're doing the right thing even though they've got no intention of doing so. This is why they largely ignore the migrant protests that are going on all around the country. They expect it, they want it to continue, because it creates a narrative that we're basically the great unwashed, and they're the great and the good, and they're doing the right thing. I don't know if many people were aware of this treaty, or it's not a treaty, the compact that we got signed up to under the last Tories. I thought I'd bring it up because I think it's worth mentioning that the wording is always very delicate, and it's very clearly worded to say, it's on you. We're not gonna make you do it. But the implication is there will be consequences if you don't. Now, if you like this video, and you think that this was yet another betrayal from the previous Tory government, you make me aware. Comment below, like and subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.